Hi, I'm Catherine Warren, and we're back for another installment of our Mayoral Update with Telluride Mayor Delanie Young. Hi, Delanie.
Hi, Catherine. Hi, Tim.
So we are here at the Sheridan Opera House Show Bar. It is a newer addition to the historic landmark theater building that we all love and cherish here in Telluride. And their show bar is open each weekend with live music right out here. We came and saw a wonderful artist a couple weeks ago after the filming of our last Mayoral Update, which feels like that was months ago, but also yesterday. My sense of time is really messed up this summer.
Yes, everyone's is. It's just crazy. You don't know if it's next Tuesday or last Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to get a piece of pie and a drink and enjoy some live music, come on down to the Sheridan Opera House Show Bar. You can check out their schedule at SheridanOperaHouse.com.
We've been trying to film the mayoral updates at historic landmarks this summer to feature them as wonderful places to visit in our town.
Yes, and I believe the Sheridan Opera House has teamed up with the Historical Museum on historic walking tours. So check out SheridanOperaHouse.com. Also check out TellurideMuseum.org and support some really great local historic organizations.
And nonprofits.
Yes. So last week you had your regular Telluride Town Council meeting. It was on Zoom once again.
Yes.
They're looking like Zoom meetings for quite some time now, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Yes, that's true.
I tried to tune in because Telluride Town Council is live streamed on Kodo, and it's a wonderful opportunity for anyone in town, not just nerds such as myself, to tune in and see what's happening locally with our local politics, because that's really where I feel that political action and elected officials, that's really where we feel and see the biggest impact when it comes to elections and politics. And even if you don't care for national politics, local politics are so important. I just gotta put that little plug in there.
Thank you, Catherine. And as a Town of Telluride resident,
yes,
a lot of the things we talk about, most of the things we talk about, impact you as a resident. And I really appreciate when anyone listens in, comments. We always give the chance for public comment. It really does help us make the best decisions we can. If we have people who live here and are, involved, tell us how they're feeling and tell us what they believe in. It really does help.
The more the merrier when it comes to public feedback, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, the cut and paste letters in the hundreds get a little tedious sometimes.
That is
but
tough.
We really do appreciate and want to hear from our public for sure.
Great. So I think one of the biggest things that came out of last week's meeting was the ambassador program is getting more steam and moving forward. What is the latest, what is the ambassador program and what's the latest update for viewers?
So the ambassador program is one of the ideas that has come out of being prepared for COVID. Not so much prepared as being reactive to what has happened with COVID and trying to make things easier on visitors, locals, and business owners. Our idea behind the ambassadors was to have people who would be staff, they would be paid and will be paid, to be almost a bridge between law enforcement and the general public and business owners. So if there is a situation needing education, such as how to stay 6 feet or more apart and for how long, group sizes, face coverings when and where they're required, these folks would be ambassadors for the town of Telluride and the larger community, and they would explain these things to people who might not know before they go. And then if things were to escalate, they could be a bridge between the education piece and the enforcement piece. We don't want that to fall on the business owners if we can help it. They have enough to worry about. And I believe this week they are forming a partnership, if you will, with the Telluride Tourism Board, who has experience with guest services, and they're going to post the jobs and train folks. So if you need a job and you're really jazzed about being a resident here and want to put the best foot forward for your town, look for the job posting.
Yes. Well, that's wonderful that it's moving forward, and I think that is so important, especially with visitors coming in from other states. Obviously, we have the state mask order here in Colorado, but coming in from another state, they might not know our current orders and or ordinances. And I think a lot of confrontations can be minimized and or de-escalated just with basic education.
And friendliness.
And friendliness and a smile. So on that note, also at last week's council meeting, you guys extended the face mask ordinance now through the end of 2020.
We did. We have been trying to set the expiration dates for that emergency ordinance for face coverings with meeting dates, which just makes sense because then we don't have to have special meetings.
Right.
And we don't typically have meetings in the mid to end December time. We want people to spend time with their families over the holidays, and we carried it, in fact, through mid-January of 2021, just to have that timing right for meetings.
Okay, and any changes to the mask ordinance, or it's just as is presently and moving forward?
We did not make any changes this time other than to extend the expiration date. At our last hearing of this ordinance, we had added in outside areas where people cannot maintain 6 feet or more distance for longer than 5 minutes. And we didn't see any reason to add anything else. It is, I guess, for all intents and purposes, the strictest face covering ordinance in our area when you take into account the state order and the recently passed strong recommendation from the county.
Right.
And there was a little concern about children under the age of 10 wearing masks from a few members of the public. And while we fully appreciate that concern from parents and others, our decision to have it be mandatory for any children age 3 and up is because that is what the CDC has recommended, and the American Pediatrics Association actually upholds that recommendation.
Okay. And not that this is the most important reason, but it also matches the age requirement in Mountain Village as well.
It does.
3 and over.
Yes.
Even though it's different from the state order.
Which is 10 and under.
Yes.
Are exempt. Yes. We do really, throughout all of this, I think all 3 of the larger jurisdictional governments, Mountain Village, Town of Telluride, and the county, have tried really hard to mesh a lot of our endeavors.
Right.
Messaging, different things. It makes it easier for visitors when they come,
Yeah.
and it makes it easier for the folks who live here, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know when the pandemic really took hold and we all realized, oh, this is here to stay and this is going to be impacting a lot of things, all 3 entities were really concerned about budget shortfalls and, if visitors don't come, where do our tax numbers fall? And I know that Town Manager Ross Herzog gave you guys an update on sort of where we currently are without asking you to recite numbers, because that would be a lot. How are we looking for, income-wise for the town of Telluride?
In the town of Telluride, we are happily surprised where the tax numbers are falling. We have 2 main tax sources. We have the real estate transfer tax and we have the sales tax. Sales tax is down, not as much as we had anticipated it could be down. And real estate transfer tax, we have already taken in what our annually budgeted amount for 2020 was supposed to be. So we are
in the 8th month of the year.
Yes, we are in really, really good shape. The real estate transfer tax feeds and services the capital improvement fund.
Okay.
And we are just blown away. I mean, I think that's pretty safe to say. We're blown away by the comfortable place we happen to be in right now.
Right.
That being said, we err on the side of caution and we try to practice fiscal conservatism whenever we can. And with no one knowing what's going to happen this winter, and we just have no idea what the next year might look like. We're optimistic. We're not going to, go crazy or anything, because we have this extra money that we didn't
Right.
think we'd have.
Could
right
the
now.
real estate transfer tax transition over to the shortfalls in sales tax, or is it very separate line items?
Our financial setup was done this way for sort of not just that reason, but
Okay.
that is a possibility. The real estate transfer tax feeds the capital improvement fund. The sales tax feeds the general fund.
Okay.
There have been instances, even within the last 5 years, that when one fund is doing really well because sales tax is off the charts,
Right.
or in this case, this year, real estate transfer tax is off the charts, if a transfer is needed to make things work, that absolutely can happen. And again, we are very grateful to be in the position we're in
Right.
right now.
And it's a lot of folks from, I guess, what's the demographic of the purchasers in town? Is it a mixed bag? Do you have that information?
I've seen some pie charts that I think have taken a stab at who is buying property here. But honestly, I couldn't say with a lot of confidence because I had only seen it the one time,
Right.
and I would ask a lot more questions before I gave that information. But that is what's happening. Everything is being bought up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Telluride, folks.
That might be a good segue for me to interject something I've been thinking a lot about.
Absolutely.
We're thrilled to know that people want to live here. We obviously love it here and know how amazing it is. That's why we're still here. And we can fully appreciate people wanting to occupy their second homes full time, which
And
a
it's
lot
wonderful.
of people have done this year. And that is adding to our local economy. So it is great. And we can appreciate people wanting to leave the city and move to our idyllic little burg. Knowing that that is happening, it has, on occasion, negative repercussions that a lot of people might not consider or might not see. And that is long time, decades long residents who have lived here are losing their housing.
Because they're renting these properties that have been selling.
That is, in fact, the case in some cases. And this is me, Delanie, putting a plea out to folks who are joining our community. If you aren't very familiar with our community and you are familiar more with the setting and the beauty and some of the amenities that are available to you, we are a really tight-knit community. And when we have friends and neighbors and family, in some cases, who are put in these terrible situations of not knowing if they can live here after being
Yeah.
here perhaps 30 or 40 years, or even 10 years. It affects all of us, and it's sad. And so this is me putting a plea out to those of you who are coming to join our community. Really get to know people and ask around. And if you have a garage apartment or a lock-off unit or an alley shed at your home, if you could consider perhaps renting that out to a local instead of just keeping it vacant or using it for storage, that is probably one of the biggest needs we have, if not the biggest need in our community. And I highly recommend considering it. We would love you forever for it. And you can talk to Amy Levick at Trust for Community Housing. You could contact the Regional Housing
Yeah.
Authority. It isn't that you have to go in blindly to rent to somebody you don't know. There's actually avenues to help you match you with great renters.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just having this crisis of conscience lately, and I just thought I would get that message out to everybody.
And for those not familiar, before Delanie was mayor and on town council, she worked for the San Miguel Regional Housing Authority. So it is really a subject that's near and dear to your heart.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks to Delanie, I own a deed restricted apartment. So let's just put that plug in there too. But yeah, I think it's really great what Amy Levick and her organization are doing, connecting locals with owners, and I really hope that that connection only grows and flourishes to help people find long-term housing.
Me too.
I'm sure we could do a whole segment on that.
Oh yeah,
housing.
we could.
Different topic. Wastewater treatment plant has been a topic of many public meeting conversations that I've been tuning into recently.
Yes.
And they plan to, well, I guess, can you please explain to viewers what was discussed the last few weeks and what Telluride Town Council in more or less approved last week?
Sure. So COVID has created a lot of interesting technology, I guess, is a good way to say it. And one of the things that has started to gain some traction around the state and the country is testing wastewater. And that is exactly what you think it is, sewage.
Right.
And because people actually shed the virus sometimes before they even have symptoms through their fecal matter, and it goes into the sewage. And so it's a little windy, so just tell me if I need to. Okay. And we were approached by a community member about the idea of doing that here. It's been talked about at the intergovernmental meeting, it's been talked about at county commissioner meetings, and it's been talked about at Telluride Town Council meetings. This past week, the majority of council, we didn't have a motion to approve or anything, but we gave direction saying it sounded like a good idea to us. Basically, it is one more tool in the toolbox to test and to collect data. This is more of a surveillance data to begin with, but it could give us a glimpse into how prevalent or non-prevalent the virus might be in town, and if we need to slow down or speed up any kind of restrictions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the funding is in place for the first few months here, so it's sort of a trial period, and I really look forward to seeing how this data can be used, because there's been so much else going on this summer that it's really hard for me to fully wrap my head around it. But I think a tool in the toolkit is a really good way to put it.
I think they will be doing the first test sample this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Another interesting fact, if you didn't know, the wastewater treatment plant also helps us locally figure out how many people are in town, which is really fascinating to me, because during 4th of July or other typically busy festival weekends, the sewer plant can estimate the number of folks in town, which...
it's rather amazing that we can do that. You know, combined Telluride and Mountain Village, all the folks who are on the sewer system, and everything goes to the wastewater treatment plant, it's right around 4,000 people. And that is how we have made estimations over the years that occasionally, say 4th of July, we might push above 20,000 people in our area. That's how they figure that out.
And especially because 4th of July is not a ticketed event, so you don't know how many, like Bluegrass or Blues and Brews, which obviously that's off the table this summer, but it's a really fascinating way to get that data as well.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Public Works. They have been killing it.
Yes. I was looking, so all meetings, all agendas, all committees, everything is on Town of Telluride's website. And once you learn how to navigate it, you really can find out some pretty great things. My research prior to this interview, I realized that you guys had a council retreat recently. And that obviously is publicly noticed because you have a quorum. But for viewers, and I didn't know about this until I started working for Mountain Village, but what does a town council retreat look like pre-COVID and during COVID right now?
In the before times, pre-COVID, our retreats were honestly nothing special. They were meetings that would typically be geared towards a specific topic. Sometimes the attorney would go over legal aspects of our job and, you know, the sunshine law and noticing policies and what to do or not do on social media, things like that. or we would have joint meetings with our Historic Architectural Review Commission and P&Z, and we would do joint meetings. So they were educational. In the now times, during COVID, our last 2 retreats have been what I would have in my prior life considered an actual retreat. We went on hikes.
Oh, wonderful.
Which is great. It's a way to be together and be in a social situation, even though it is a meeting. And 2 retreats ago, we hiked up into the Bear Creek Preserve, which is part of the town that the land has protected as open space. And it's great to go with some town staff and have them point things out to you and talk about the acquisition of those lands and how that all worked. And this last retreat, we went up to Blue Lake.
Oh, wonderful.
Which is the water source for all of us who are on town water. And one of the water sources, I should say. And it was really beautiful to be up there. It was a perfect day. And we got a little history of Blue Lake, and we got history of other water rights and things that the town has been party to. So it was still work, but we got to be outside and enjoy our surroundings like everyone else has been this summer.
What is hiking? I don't know this summer. No, I have gone on a few hikes, but well, it's windy. We're both wearing long sleeves. We're certainly starting to transition into the fall. I cannot believe we're filming on August 31st. Tomorrow is September. It is blowing my mind. But Delanie, as sort of some last thoughts, what are you looking forward to? What's next as we move into the fall here in town of Telluride?
I have been trying to focus a lot of my time lately on, and I may have mentioned this at the last update, on environmental issues. I am the council liaison on the Ecology Commission. I'm the alternate liaison on the Eco Action Partners Board. I recently won an award from Recycle Colorado.
Congratulations.
For outstanding, I don't remember what.
Elected official?
Elected official for recycling efforts in our area. And it isn't so much about the concrete recycling itself, it's about some of the ideas that we've been trying to implement. And that was really a great honor to me. And I helped do a presentation last week at their Recycle Colorado Summit. I am helping draft, hopefully, what might result in some state legislation around environmental issues, and in particular recycling, and that includes composting.
Right.
It's like the ultimate recycling, right?
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to being more involved with that. Everything has been so COVID, everything.
Yeah.
And I think what sometimes we forget is that all these other things are still happening, and we need to still focus on them. Housing, the environment, the wastewater treatment plant upgrades, things like that. And I'm looking forward to making a difference, I guess. That's why I got into this in the first place.
Well, maybe the next mayoral update we could talk about nothing. Everything we could talk about would be non-COVID related. Like maybe that's a goal that we can aspire to.
And we could just do that. We could just make a plan.
Or maybe just do 2 episodes next time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Delanie.
Thank you,
Mayor
Catherine.
of Telluride, all rock star. She manages these Zoom meetings like a total champ. And
thank you. I wanted to say one other thing. We did read a proclamation at our last meeting that September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month.
yes.
And I just cannot ever stress enough, if you need help or if you know someone who needs help, please call the Center for Mental Health and talk to someone. If you need assistance paying for those services, get in touch with Tri-County Health. They have help for people financially to get the help that they need. And just check up on your friends and neighbors, especially if they're on their own right now, because this isolation period has been really hard.
Yeah. And I was not looking at my phone while you talked about such a serious topic, but on September 13th, Tri-County Health is doing a suicide awareness walk
They are.
And that will be at 10 a.m.
Out of the Darkness Walk.
Yes. So great plug. It's a very important topic and more timely now than ever.
And thank you, Sammy Damsky, for keeping up on those walks and all those other services. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Delanie. Thank you,
Thanks,
Telluride
Telluride
TV.
TV.
Jinx.